Hello everyone, good morning. It's April Fool's Day, Wednesday the 1st of April. A little later this morning, apologies for that. We want to mention a few things today, including the latest virus spread statistics in America and Spain. We'll talk about what the UN Secretary General said, and we want to hear more words of comfort from the Bible. Before we get to those things though, a lot of people were asking how yesterday's funeral went, and it was sad, it really was. The whole thing was very somber. Everyone had to kind of keep their distance. There was only 10 or so people in the cemetery. And you just felt unable really to kind of comfort people. You felt hindered in getting alongside people and letting them know that you're sort of there for them. And it really makes me just realise how important close contact is in these kind of situations. To be able to stand beside someone, to shake their hand, give them a hug, to look them straight in the eye and say, I'm really sorry for what you're going through. And you might normally think that these things don't mean that much when someone is really grieving, but actually now that you're unable to do it, you realise that it just means so much. That being said, we were able to give the deceased man a funeral service. We had 10 minutes just. We read from God's word, we prayed, we reflected a bit on the man's life, and then reflected on what God was saying to us. And I think the family were able to mourn. It's not ideal, but it's the situation that we're in, and so we just accept it and we try to do whatever we can. So thank you all for your prayers. I asked for people to pray yesterday, specifically for the family, and it's very much appreciated. In coronavirus news then, sadly, America's death toll is now up over 4,000, which is more than China's, where the outbreak actually began. And in the last 24 hours alone, 865 people have died and around 190,000 people have been infected. These statistics are just staggering. And yesterday was also devastating. In Spain, again, they saw their highest number of deaths in a single day at 849. And this was just a couple of days after the Spanish foreign minister came on the news and was saying that the cases were beginning to flatten out, and hopefully that is still true, but the death toll is still going up. And it's all just so hard to take. And this morning then we see the UN Secretary General has described this virus as the greatest global test since World War II. Folks, these are truly bizarre times we're living in, but also really unsettling, really unnerving, and just awful times for many people around the world. And perhaps all we can do in these kind of times is cry out to the Lord for help. One of my favourite verses in the Bible is from Psalm 127. It simply says, unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labour in vain. And really it's an acknowledgement that God is the only one who ultimately sits on the throne and who ultimately acts in our world. And so in this case, as we cry out to God for an end to this virus spread or for a cure to be found, we're not crying out to someone who hears us but is limited in resource or power. We're crying out to someone who is able to respond, who is able to answer, who is able to intervene. So I want to encourage us, I suppose, to keep crying out to God. Let's keep putting our trust in Him. And really this morning I wanted to leave you with an encouragement, and these words are from Psalm 34. May they bless you today. The psalmist writes, I sought the Lord and He answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. He writes, this poor man called and the Lord heard him. He saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear Him and He delivers them. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in Him. He also writes, the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and His ears are attentive to their cry. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all. The Lord will rescue His servants. No one who takes refuge in Him will be condemned. God is with us, folks. Even though at times it may not feel like it, He is always near. So my prayer for you today is that you would feel His presence with you. And may you stay safe, and God bless.